Hello everyone, Fanta here, you're watching FANTAVISION, and today I am discussing whether or not it's worth it to buy the PlayStation Classic for $20. Now, I already hear the questions and comments of Fanta, it's not $20 right now, or when has it been $20, or where is it $20? I constantly see this system going on sale at GameStop, Amazon, Best Buy for $20. All you have to do is be on the lookout. You will find this for cheap. I see it constantly. And I've had people ask me, and I've seen so many people online make jokes about whether or not this is worth it. And for those people that are wondering already and telling me to shut up and get on with it, yes, it is. Okay, there you go. There's your quick answer. But if you want to know why, stick around. Because honestly, this system launched, and it was the biggest joke on the planet because it was $100. This thing was $100. Now, that's really not that far from the Super Nintendo Classic, which I believe is around $80, and the NES Classic, which was about $60. So they're all priced kind of close to each other, but for some reason, Sony thought they could price it $20 more when, honestly, the PlayStation, it's not that hard to play on other things. The PlayStation 3 still plays PlayStation 1 games. So they've had all of these consoles recently that can play their games, whereas the Super Nintendo, yeah, you can emulate it, but you can't play it legitimately on anything because there's no cartridge, There's no cartridge slot. So if somebody was looking to relive the NES experience, plus, if you look at the controller, it's almost exactly the same as the modern controller. PlayStation has not done anything with the controller, whereas the Super Nintendo controller is completely different from the modern Switch controller or the Wii controller or the GameCube controller. Nintendo continually changes everything as they progress with the consoles, whereas PlayStation, they just make the same box with the same controller pretty much. They add a couple gimmicks to it, and they make it more powerful. That's essentially it. I'm not saying I don't like PlayStation for that reason. They're reiterating the same controller, just kind of like Xbox is. They're just trying to make and perfect the controller with each generation, but you can still have the same controller experience with a PlayStation 3 and a PS1 disc. So to me, I was not excited for this to come out at all. I was indifferent. I was like, what are they going to do to make me want this? I can just play all the PlayStation 1 games I want on my PSP. I'm aware you can again play Super Nintendo games on the PSP, but having an HDMI version of the Super Nintendo games all cleaned up and just kind of an easy way to play on the TV was something that really wasn't around. And for some reason, on the Nintendo Switch, there's no real virtual console like there was in the Wii, and I believe the Wii U. I don't really remember much about the Wii U, unfortunately, but there was a nice virtual console on the Wii, and you could buy lots of Super Nintendo Classic games, or classic Super Nintendo games. And PlayStation, you just buy it. You can play it on a bunch of different things. There's ways to play it on modern TVs easily. So originally, I was not excited for this, and I was not going to think that this was going to be worth it at all, especially at $100. But for $20, why does it all of a sudden become worth it at $20? Well, it comes with 2 controllers, so that's awesome. You're already 2-player compatible. Also, the games on it aren't that great, but you can easily hack this thing. Well, you can hack it. I don't know about easily. I did it. Some people it was very easy, but I, for some reason, had a lot of difficulties. I ran into every single problem in the book, and that seems to happen with every single thing in my life. Nothing goes as smoothly as it should. But after hacking it and after putting the games on it that I wanted to play, that I wanted to relive from my childhood, this thing 100% became worth it. I put Silent Hill on here, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2. I know you can put 3, but I'd rather play it on the PlayStation 2. I put on Gex, Enter the Gecko. I know it's a weird game to put on here, but I played that all the time on the N64. It's just a weird game. Highly recommend playing it, especially for free on the system. It's free. YouTube, I mean, it's not free. Make sure you own these games and you're the one ripping it off of your disc. I put all of these different games on this system that were not originally on there, and then it infinitely became worth that $20. I mean, especially because I could play Gauntlet again. I freaking love Gauntlet, and I've been wanting to get other people into it, and the new Gauntlet just didn't cut it to me, and it doesn't have that same nostalgia feel. Yeah, the graphics are pretty pixely on this thing because this is, of course, the first generation of 3D graphics. I don't count the Super Nintendo for that. Those were barely 3D. This is basically the first, and the N64 and the PlayStation 1 were the first systems that had 3D graphics, so it's rough. It is rough, guys. I'm going to tell you that right now. This system did not age super well. I'm getting to the negative parts, by the way. Basically, overall, though, worth it for $20. You can add games onto it easily. You can play 2-player. It comes with everything you need for a 2-player. It also, for some reason, back to the negatives, it does not include one of those little AC adapter plugs. Those things are so cheap. Why didn't they just include it? I hate these companies that are just not including things just to be even cheaper. I don't get it. I know you probably have one around here somewhere for your phone or a bunch of other products that use USB chargers and they come with the actual box. This one does not come with that box. So you'll have to use one of those other plugins. Ironically enough, I'm using the Nintendo one because those came with the freaking box. Why does this not come with the box? Does the Super Nintendo Classic come with it? Yes. I'm looking right now. It came with the freaking box. Why does this not come with the box? And this was $20 more at the time. What were you guys thinking? Also, the reason you want to hack this thing is because even if you are really interested in the games on it, some of them are the PAL version. And the PAL version is it's got worse frame rate, it runs worse, it's the worst version of that game. So for all the PAL versions of the games that are already included on here, you should probably put another version on here of the NTSC or American version. So it's just puzzling to me why they did such a lazy approach to this. And it's such a lazy put together console that even the hackers that found a way to put other games on there and put their custom firmware on there said that even the security was lazy. So the fact that they cheaped out on not putting a box on there, they put 20 games. I mean, they can put more. I think the other ones put 20 games as well. No, the NES had 30. I don't remember how much the Super Nintendo Classic has. It doesn't have it on the front of the box, so I can't read it from here. And they only put 20. And they put a lot of games on here that people just don't care about. And they were missing the big ones. Like, where's Crash Bandicoot and Spyro and all that kind of stuff? Now, there could be the argument that most of these PlayStation games that are classics have been redone so that there's no real reason to pick one of these up. I mean, you can get the Spyro Classic Collection or whatever where they've redone it all in new graphics. They have the new, Crash Bandicoot trilogy that you can play. They've redone lots of the classic games on here. But what they haven't redone is Gex. They haven't redone Silent Hill 1. Well, they haven't redone it well. And they haven't redone the Tony Hawk games. So if you want to relive a lot of your childhood nostalgia of the games that weren't necessarily considered classics, or if you want to play the classics again, but, with the original graphics and whatnot, then I still think that this is something worth picking up. It's a great emulation station, and honestly, you can put Super Nintendo games on here, and you can put NES games on here. So if you didn't pick up the NES Classic or the Super Nintendo Classic, this will do it. This will do it. So that's a funny way of, just kind of getting it all in one system. Just make sure you get a big enough USB stick when you're doing that. And I'll probably do a video on how to hack it, discuss all the different speed bumps that I ran into, because I seem to run into more things that I'd seen than it was shown on these videos. Because a lot of these videos I watch, they put the USB in the computer, they drag over the files, they put the game on it, and it just worked. But I did not have it just work. I had a very Bethesda experience with this thing. It just kept having issues, it had errors. I was wondering if I had bricked it at one point. So because I had kind of a struggle to just get this thing hacked, I'm going to do my video about it. But again, that seems to be out of, the normal hacking. Most people can just hack it easily is what I'm trying to say here. I'll make that video pretty soon. Overall, I think this is worth it. And I hope rather Sony learned from this, because I feel like there'll be an N64 classic on the horizon and maybe a PlayStation 2 classic. I don't know. I think that would be really cool. I feel like that'd be too expensive to run on, I don't know, in this kind of boxed mini format. I don't know if they have little mini computers like that, like the Raspberry Pi. I don't think that can run PS2 games yet, but as technology continues to progress forward, I would love a PS2 classic, and I hope we can hack that one just as easily as this one as well. But I really hope they learn from this one. They don't cheap out, because even the controllers, I understand that this is the first edition of the controller that came with the original PlayStation, but I hate this thing. I hate this thing so much. First of all, it's not the full-size controller, I don't believe. It feels smaller. I'm pretty sure it is. I could be wrong, but it feels smaller than the original PlayStation controllers that I had played with in the past. And it's also not a DualShock. Why did you cheap out? You charged $20 more than the competition, and yet you put in these dinky little ones without the joysticks. What are you doing? If you're gonna charge more money, you're gonna charge a premium amount of money and call this a premium product and slap your brand on it and try to take advantage of the nostalgia, the wave of nostalgia that everybody was feeling when these things were coming out. You need to do it right. And by not including the DualShocks, like, that's just so cheap, it's so lazy, and it shows why I and a lot of other people were not excited for this thing. Even though I grew up playing this at other people's houses. This wasn't my first console, the N64 was, but I definitely had a lot of nostalgia and a lot of great memories with this system. So I was kind of sad that I wasn't excited for it. I mean, I didn't grow up with the NES, but Nintendo got me excited for the NES Classic because it looked like an NES, the controllers were exactly like for the NES, and I don't know, it just felt like a more quality product, especially with the Super Nintendo Classic. That's when they knocked it out of the park, because they came with 2 controllers instead of just 1, and then made the second controller impossible to find. So, yeah. Take that as you will. I just think this is definitely worth it. It's an easy way to play PlayStation 1 games in HD on your TV without needing the discs and without having to buy more digital versions of the games that you might already own. In fact, I pretty much owned all the games that I got ROMs for. I do own all of the games that I got ROMs for now that I think about it. So, definitely recommend it. Go pick it up for $20 when it's $20. And I hope this was helpful to everybody that was wondering, should I get it? Should I pull the trigger? Because I keep seeing the memes saying, hold! Whenever it's $20, but I have a feeling that this is not going to go any lower than 20. And if it does, it'll only be during a clearance time, and that will be the last batch that there will be. And you might miss out. And I don't think it's worth missing out on this just to save $5-10. I think it's worth the full 20. Thanks for watching, everyone. If this helped you out, or if you're thinking about picking up one of these, comment down below. Also comment down below which game you're going to add first when you hack this. Because if you're buying this and you're not hacking it, you're missing out. Because this is only at like 10% of the potential that it truly has if it's not hacked. So hack this system, leave a like if I helped you out, and as always, have a fantastic day. See you guys.